This is Daf Yomi Yerushalmi Terumos. In the article Ozvar, the edition, we're on Daf Gimel Amud Aleph. Middle of a sugya, but let's take it from, uh, uh, well, let's take it from the top of the page and make it easy. Harish Kosav. And in the Vilna, actually on Daf Aleph of the Bays, Harish Kosav. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines to the bottom. Reish Kosav. So, of course, the war is still going on in Eretz Yisrael. Our learning with Yerushalmi should be a schus and help for the Yeshua for Am Yisrael. So, yesterday we were talking about, this is the middle story, as I said, that does Ksav Yad work by a person who was once not a once Pekech and then became a Cheresh? Can he now do with Ksav Yad? So evidently from this Brisa cannot. Haresh Ksav Yad Osham al Sofer Ksov. He wrote in his own handwriting, or he told the Sofer write. Later, someone told the Adam to sign. Afal Pisha Ksav Nasnulo, even though they wrote it and signed it and gave it to him, the husband, because of Nasnulo, and he gave it to her, which seems that quite clearly would be an indication of his das, ain't no get. It's not about get. So we see Ksiva doesn't help us. Rabbi Yosef said, no, not necessarily. Omar Seifa, the Seifa of this brisa, you learn that for lace plika, and you'll see that it doesn't necessarily argue. It says, ain't no get achishmu kolo. It says it's not a get until they hear his voice. Okay, Shneimar l'sofer l'shomer l'sofer cook sofer edim chasamu. But the lo sofer l'chishmu kolo. It's not. They don't even have to hear his voice. Elafilu hirkin berosho. Even if he nods his head. So that's the case. At Omer Leiskan, you have to. It would seem that there is no. No one who argues on Rosh Gamliel. Now, in the Kabbalah, takes out the rest of the line here, but in the Gemara itself, it says, Amar Leiskan, Avavhacha Leiskan. So, I'm not sure whether it's necessary to have that. The Moshe says, כלומר, כל אחד אמרת דהי עד שישמוס כל לאו דווקא וחינמי תאי ברשו כסק כסב יודה לאו מתקנתו היא דממס כסב יודה מהני בחרש. It's, in other words, the price is meshubash, it's distorted, and therefore the race has to be reinterpreted and would be a get. Since the price is internally contradictory, the Reish Sefer, something has to be changed. So it has to be changed. Might as well make it like Ramesh Gamliel. So that's the way the Kavanaki explains it. Basically, the same idea. It says that it's not possible to sustain the brisa as is because the machshir nodding the head, so it should be machshir writing down, being explicit. So therefore, you have to say in the seifa ad shomer l'sofer chulei, and in the reisha we don't say shkasuk sabyara elav amachem imul l'sofer. Rabbi Yossi actually, it's quite different. He's saying that we don't change the price to be like Rishon Gamliel. We change the price and make it like Rabbi Yossi in totally different sugya. I'll tell you about where there was Amira. And this is from the Maraf Fulda and from evidently the Yerushalmi Gittin. So that according to this, the issue is not that's talking about Cheresh, but it's talking about that the Adim or the Sofer have to hear directly from the Baal, and the Baal can't say to a Shliach to tell the Adim because that's a problem if of Rabbi Yossi immediately Lomim Sar L'Shliach, you can't give over words to a Shliach to give over those words to somebody else. Raimona said, Iskan. Okay, but I have here a Tana who does argue Shin Gamliel. Boy, Hishmias Kol Hier Konas Harosh. Actually, he's saying that this Tana in the Brisa argues with Gamliel because he says you don't have to change the Brisa, and it says Shmiya Sakol and her Konas Harosh are sufficient, but not Ksav Yodo, because possible that nodding the head is better because you are showing with your body. That's from the Rosh Perek Zion Simon Yutes, I guess, and Gittin. As opposed to where he writes, because he takes that, since he's taking the pen and paper to write, uh, maybe he got distracted in his mind. And what he wrote is just like automatic writing, not that he was intending when he wrote it to write what he's supposed to write. So so that's the case. You don't need to distort the Bryce. You don't say there's a contradiction between the Resha, where Ksiva doesn't work, and the Sefer where Hakana works. No, we thought till now that Ksiva is better than Hakana. Hakana is better than Ksiva. As in the Resha, Ksiva doesn't work because who knows if he's writing Ladas, right? When he continues writing, maybe he got distracted. But as Hakana means that he is nodding and responding to us and immediately telling us what he wants us to do. The says more further. Reb Zira, Reb Zira. Oh, of course, and that argues with Shin Gamliel, because the Shin Gamliel holds that Ksiva is effective, and for Pikech Sheni Scharish, and as we're now explaining the Brisa, Hakana might be effective, but Ksiva is not effective. Okay, we know that when in nodding the head, we have to check him out, and we have to go through 3 times and make sure to test him 3 times that he knows what he's nodding. We ask him, is this fruit in season? And he says yes or no, etc. So it's the same thing. The Kavasah is supposed to think, is that the same thing by Shmias Kol? That you have to hear him 3 times, say, to confirm, is this you? Are you saying this? Are you saying this? Amalei, no, Shmias Kol Pamachas. Shmias Kol 1 time. And for Akonas Arosh, you need to have Shlosha Pamim. So I said a moment ago, and I regret it. The 3 times we ask him are different things, but that's not true. It seems the three things we're asking him are all about the Ksiva Saget, but we do have to check him out. It seemed I don't remember if I remember that from Gittin, or maybe it was somewhere else. So let me bring it down here. No, the Taka say that here it's talking about Konos Rosh by specifically relative to the get. We do have to check him out, though. I don't think that the article brings it down here. Yeah, so he does bring down in footnote 4 that the Mishnah Gittin says that a person who's become in Elaine and wants to write a get for his wife, we check him 3 times with different questions, and then if he answers on all those questions properly, that's like the fruit in season. So that shows his das is musheves, and then we can write the get for him. But it seems that these are 3 separate times. You ask him after you ask those questions in order to check out his das. You ask him these 3 questions, or you ask him to repeat it 3 times with Harkana that he intends to give the get. Rabbi Yehuda said, Tamon bomer kach v'kach asisi. So but in the Brisa of Shin Gamliel, that where we said. So that Brisa, Ba'omer kach v'kach asisi, he evidently is writing down something that he had done, and he's telling us about it. It's like a type of testimony. V'ka Omer Kema Kenasu. And here's talking about do this, do that. And that we don't, so that's not effective. So even Rosh Gamliel was matir, b'ksiva, it's just to explain what he has done in the past, but not to set up a new shlichus for the future and direct us what to do. And Mani Bar Levi boy, Rabbi Yom Levi asked, Im yesh bo das l'shavar. Wait a minute. Has das for the past, yesh das laba. So his das for the future. Ain bo das l'shavar, ain bo das laba. If he doesn't have das for the past, he doesn't have das for the future. How can you distinguish between the two? So the I don't think the Gemara resolves that. Well, the Gemara doesn't give an answer to that question. Why? How can we distinguish between the two? Amar Avdimi. The Avdimi said, the Brisa says that Ksav Yodo is talking about by Pikech and Ischarish, and it's not arguing about Rosh Gamliel. The Ein L'Shlichus L'Cherish. So even Rosh Gamliel holds Shiva works. It doesn't work to be Mamana a Shliach. It's not effective to be appointed shliach. It's only effective to for him to write his own get. It's a very new idea. I was assuming that he's writing to somebody they'll get. No, he's to write his own get. According to Gamliel, he's believed, but the post of minu shliach, you can't do it. So, but the Kamaraki wants to give a lumdus for that. He wants to say that Ksivas get, you only have to be Magala Das. Opposed to Minu Shliach, you have to transfer your Das to somebody else. And since he only has Das Klishta, he only has weaker Das, he doesn't have the power to transfer it to somebody else. Okay, I'm not sure you have to come on to that. I think it's much more simple that writing a get is much more of a direct indication of a Rotzen Lagarish than telling somebody else to write a get. But all right, it's a nice lumdus, the Kavanaki says. So that it's his own das can express, but he doesn't have his das klishna, but he can't transfer it to somebody else. Rabbi said, Rabbi said no, but bari on a kayamin. We're talking about a bari who was all of a sudden became mute, right? The lama a get. Why do I say it's not a get? Ani omer misasek b'shtaroisav. When he writes to when he writes down whatever he writes down, he has in mind that to write a star, because a star is also called a get. So I don't know if he actually means a get if he just writes it down. The Tana came, we learned the Brisa like this. Medamar is manche pirish mitoch burio. When do we say that a nishtatek, somebody whose silence has to be checked 3 times barakona? When he was nishtatek mitoch manche pirish mitoch burio. When he was when out of it being healthy, he then became all of a sudden mute. Avol nishtatek machmas choyo. But if he became mute on account of an illness, which now became more severe, dayo b'pamachas. It's enough one time. It's a fact. It's only it's arcana once. Fascinating, right? If he's healthy before, it's counterintuitive. If he's healthy before and he gets mute, he has to do arcana 3 times. Healthy before and then he gets was sick before and he gets arcana once. You only have to do arcana once. We already write the get. So the Kavanaki brings down the svara because a person who's on his deathbed and knows he's sick, he has more likely to want to write his wife a get to avoid her having to be misyabemis. It seems that it's assuming to a certain extent that he has that he has no kids in this scenario, but okay, why not? So therefore, since he has this, he wants to divorce her, it's more likely that he wants to divorce him. Therefore, he only has to be marking once, and that sufficiently tells us that he clearly it's anatzadi that he clearly wants to be megarish his wife. Okay, so the um, uh, so again, according to Rav Avdime, um, the by cheresh, he doesn't have das to make a shliach. Rabbi Yosef Bun says, talking about a bari who's not a cheresh, but only a question of the shtatik. Okay, that says more further. Man tana cheresh. Who's the time of the cheresh in our Mishnah? The lok Rabbi Yehuda. It's not Rabbi Yehuda. Tana Yehuda mer cheresh term truma so truma. Rabbi Yehuda says a cheresh who took off truma, his truma is valid. Now that actually is the girsa in the Kavanaki, in brackets. But in the Gemara itself, the girsa is the Tani Amr Rabbi Yehuda Mais Lok Rabbi Yehuda, the Tani Amr Rabbi Yehuda Mais Bebanav Shabi Yochel Ben Gugoda Shu Kulan Chershin. All the children of Yochel Ben Gugoda were Chershin, and nevertheless, Vayukol Tarashim Yerushalayim Nasos Anasi Nagabeim. This is the all the Taras Yerushalayim were done on this basis. You know, I just realized something. I want to go back because there's a nice real big buzz here on Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Boon Bebori Ani Kayomim. He says the Kem Diakin wrote Barosha since he not as had a Borish and a Cherish. It's clear it's not a cherish. The cherish eno shomeh mashem dabim lo. Nichtov get ishtacha. Cherish can't hear that. Umuchtalam bevari afil pam achas. And he's assumed to be bari even with one time. Sh'amalo nichtov get ishtacha. When they asked him whether we want to write a get, you want us to write a get. V'yirkin barosha and not apam ach bepam achas. Muslim bevari. אפילו פעם אחת, שנכתב בראשון. על פעם אחת אינו ראיה שהסכים על כתיבת הגט. Okay, it's clear that he has das, but it's not das necessarily to write the get. El ani omer misas b'shois v'yo. He was involved in the story. It's going to be in the up, but the shoisim neshi hifli machshavto v'shilzen ishtatek. Says, yeah, but then again, maybe he just got distracted. He's not even really actually mute. Okay, so, and he goes on to suspect in this derech. It's very dochok, but that's the way that Rabbi wants to say that. According to Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Boon, says, Barney Kayomim, V'lomen Get, V'meshu Yisrael B'shtoros means, it's not, he's not. We don't even know that he's mute. It could be he's totally distracted. He slaps on my professor. That's why you have to check him out. Okay, so and according to that, it would say that when he says the Tani came by Medvar and Bamun, it's not supposed to talk Burio. That Avishtai Machmas Choyo Daipa Machas. It's not even Burio. So again, we're thinking, I don't know, he's mute. Maybe he's just totally distracted. Maybe he's a Luftmensch. So therefore, you have to ask him 3 times. So if he's sick already, and then he became silent, so we assume that he really is mute, and therefore Hakana Pamachas is enough. You have to check out time after time. Just one time is enough. Okay, that's a very interesting read, Baz. Okay, so let's go right again. So Ma'atan Cherish, look Rabbi Yehuda. The Tani Rabbi Yehuda Ma'aseh Banav Shel Rabbi Yochanan, the story of the children of Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgoda, Shuklam Chershin. And despite the fact that the Chershim, all the Taros in Yerushalayim were done on the basis of their the determination, or their that it was Torah, or I guess they were allowed to be involved with it with the Trumas of the Taros in Yerushalayim. Let's see what he says now. So Sagabeim means. the children of Yochanan Gukoda, who ate a Kul Taras HaKodesh, it's a Mishnah Chagiga, and his children therefore were assumed to be, they didn't have to be Chaverim separately because the father's a Chaver, it's one of Bechoros, Daf Lamed, and they were the ones who were Mashgiach on Taros not to be, that the Shim come Tomei, and Chacham rely on them. So you see a Cheresh as Das. So again, according to the Kavanaki, it says Tiny Rabbi Yudah Omer Cheresh Shetorim Shemos Truma, and he brings a raya from the Rabbi Yochanan ben Guda, the story of Rabbi Yochanan ben Guda. If you don't have that gear, so you don't Cheresh Shetorim Shemos Truma. So it's just from the story itself, it emerges that they have Das. So he's asking him, says no, that's not a raya, because taros don't require a machshava, they only require shmira. They don't require any thought. There's no, if I was going to say this in Brisker, would say, there's no chales. There's nothing that has to take effect. You just have to have shmir b'alma. It's a ma'isa kov, right? Except, I don't know if we trust the kov, if you're an intelligent monkey, but this is just a ma'isa kov, so therefore, anybody can do it. And therefore, Truma can do the shmira. How about Truma? They need to have thought. Again, they need to have a chalais. So, but the Gemara then asks a question. Isn't don't Taras become apostle if there's a hesach hadas? And here the chayra there's no das by the Chayr because how can they be Shomer Truma? Aren't they walking, talking Hesed Chadases? So the Gemara says Rabbi Yisrael Shem Rabbi said Rabbi Ila is Rabbi Law. So the Kamanaki says Ila, but the Gemara says Rabbi Law. Ain't kasi bohem machshava ain't kosa bohem. Okay, the Kamanaki switched the order, but it's the same thing. Ain't kosa bohem machshava shmira kosa bohem. Says no. By Taras it doesn't say machshava, it says shmira. Pasuk in Bamidbar ches ches. And he said the question mishmeres chumosai. And Rashi says that tzrich l'shomer b'tara. Cheresh is bar shmira. So the das which we need for even though the lashon is das, but it doesn't mean hesach das. But that's not what the same type of das. You need the das to be shomer, which is much less than the das you need in order to take something take effect, do a transaction, spiritual transaction, like by Chumas and Meisers. And that brings us back to the bottom of Gimel and Beis. Stop here for today.